welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
So if you ever worked for the Postal Service, you know what December is like. It's not just busy.
Oh, it's an absolute pressure cooker.
Exactly. We're talking city letter carriers, mail handlers. Everyone is facing this perfect storm of just insane parcel volumes.
And mandatory overtime a lot of the time.
Mandatory overtime, terrible weather. The whole system is just pushed to its breaking point.
And when the system is pushed that hard, the human cost really skyrockets. All our sources point to this. Peak season, unfortunately, lines up perfectly with a huge spike in accidents and injuries.
Which creates this immediate, really painful dilemma, right? You've got injured workers who need to go to physical therapy. They need real medical care.
Essential care, yeah.
But that clashes directly with management's #1 goal. Keep the mail moving. They need every single body on the floor.
And that's the core question for today's deep dive. Can your supervisor actually stop you from going to a doctor's appointment for a work injury just because the dock is overflowing with packages?
Right. It's that conflict between your health, your rights, and the demands of the job.
So today we're going to break down the legal rights, the practical steps you can take, and, the financial side of all this.
We want you to walk away from this knowing how to protect your health without putting your job on the line. Okay, so let's just get right to it. The core legal question. You have an accepted work injury. You have a physical therapy appointment scheduled. Can your supervisor order you to skip it and stay on the job?
The short answer, the really definitive answer, is no.
No.
No. They should not be preventing you from attending that appointment, even if it's the busiest day of the year. Under federal law, your health has to come first.
Okay, so what is the actual legal foundation for that? What gives it teeth?
It all comes down to the Federal Employees Compensation Act, FECA. That's the cornerstone. FECA guarantees you, as an injured federal employee, the right to get prompt medical treatment from a doctor you choose. It's not a perk, it's a right.
And I assume the USPS's own internal rules have to reflect that, right?
Yeah, they do. It's right there in the Employee and Labor Relations Manual, the ELM. It backs this up completely. Management has to authorize that initial treatment with a Form CA-16. And they are explicitly told not to interfere with your choice of medical care. The ELM even says a USPS doctor's exam can't get in the way of you seeing your own physician promptly.
Okay, but let's be realistic for a second. It's the first week of December. Every carrier is already hitting 60 hours. The place is a mess.
Yeah.
A supervisor is going to say, look, I'm down 5 people. You delaying your PT by a couple of days is better than me delaying 500 packages.
Yeah.
How do you push back on that?
Well, that's where the words prompt and necessary really matter. Look, they can ask if there's any flexibility.
They can ask.
But they can't mandate a denial. Your union, whether it's the NALC or the mail handlers, will tell you straight up, heavy mail volume is not a lawful reason to deny necessary medical care.
So if my doctor says I need to be at physical therapy 3 times a week to recover,
right,
that's part of the medical plan, and management have to deal with it.
Exactly. They are expected to accommodate it. If the only appointment you can get is at 2 in the afternoon, they have to let you go.
Wow.
Denying a scheduled necessary appointment for an on-the-job injury, that's a huge violation, and it's going to trigger a very strong grievance. They might win an argument over when you take your lunch, but they will almost always lose a fight over authorized medical care.
Okay, so that makes the legal side pretty clear. But now let's talk about where it gets really complicated, and that's the money. We're talking about all that December overtime.
Right, the paycheck.
Yeah. If you're scheduled for a 12-hour day and you leave for a 2-hour PT session, does that therapy time count towards your 8 hours for the day to get you into overtime?
And this is the part that surprises a lot of people. Generally, no. The time you spend at that medical appointment is not counted as hours worked when USPS calculates your overtime.
So wait, I get paid for the time, but it doesn't count towards getting time and a half.
That's exactly right. You get compensated for the lost wages, but not with the overtime premium.
Okay, walk me through that.
Sure. Let's say you're that carrier on a 12-hour shift. You leave for 2 hours for your therapy. You only actually work 10 hours that day.
So the Postal Service pays me for those 10 hours I was on the clock. That's 8 hours straight time, 2 hours overtime.
Correct. No, for the 2 hours you were at therapy, you have to claim that time from the Department of Labor through OWCP. You'd use a Form CA-7 to do that, usually after your first 45 days of COP or continuation of pay are used up.
And what does OWCP pay me for those 2 hours? Is it the same?
And here's the really key difference. OWCP pays wage loss compensation. It covers your straight base pay, your night differential, things like that. But the law explicitly excludes overtime pay.
It excluded.
It's designed to replace lost wages, not projected premium pay you might have earned.
You also mentioned a rate difference, something about 2/3 or 3/4.
Yes. So in those first 45 days on COP, you're getting 100% of your pay. But after that, when you're on regular wage loss comp through that CA7, the rate drops. It's 75% of your straight time pay rate if you have dependents, and 66 2/3% if you don't.
Wow. So in December, when you're counting on hours of overtime every single day, losing that time and then getting paid only a percentage of your straight time for it, that is a massive hit to your paycheck.
It's a huge difference, and honestly, that's why there's so much pressure to just work through it. The financial incentive is powerful.
So what's the pro tip here?
The pro tip is this. If you miss work for that injury, always file for the hours with OWCP. Don't just burn your own sick or annual leave to get your full pay.
Why not?
Because you earn that leave for other things, for actual vacations, for non-work illnesses. Don't waste it on something OWCP is there to cover, even if it is at a reduced rate.
Okay, so moving away from the legal and the financial, what about the human cost? What happens when a manager tells an injured employee, just tough it out until January?
It creates an incredibly toxic culture, and the effects of that they ripple out everywhere. The first thing is you feel completely disposable, like you're just a number. When your boss shows you that the mail volume matters more than your actual health,
it just breeds resentment.
Total resentment, cynicism, burnout. It completely changes your relationship with your job. You start to feel like you're just a cog in a giant machine.
And I imagine it creates a culture of fear, too. Fear of reprisal if you speak up.
Absolutely. If management is hinting that your appointments are an attendance issue, it creates this dangerous silence. People start hiding injuries.
Or they just don't seek care at all.
Exactly. Because they're afraid of being disciplined or just getting harassed by a supervisor who wants them back on full duty before they're ready. And think about the physical strain. Working 60 hours a week with a back injury just guarantees that injury gets worse.
And when speed becomes more important than safety, the entire organization suffers.
Those are the invisible costs, They don't show up on a spreadsheet in December. But low morale leads to higher turnover. You lose experienced people who are just tired of being treated that way.
And it costs way more to train a new person than to just accommodate an injury for a few weeks.
Of course. And on the flip side, when management actually supports an injured worker, it builds incredible loyalty and respect. It sends a message that safety is a real value, not just a poster on the wall.
Okay, let's get into the worst case scenario. If 2 o'clock, you're about to leave for your therapy and your supervisor looks you in the eye and says, "You're not leaving, we're too short." What's the action plan?
Step 1, this is the most critical thing you can do, is document it. You have to prove this was a direct order, not you just walking off the job.
So how do you document a verbal order like that?
If you can, try to get it in writing. Send a quick, polite email or a text to your supervisor. Something like, confirming your order that I missed my 2 p.m. physical therapy appointment due to workload.
So that creates a paper trail.
It creates a paper trail and protects you from an AWOL charge.
Okay, step 2.
Immediately call your union steward, NALC, APWU, whoever it is. This is a clear violation of the contract and the ELM. They will file a grievance right away to protect you.
And I'm guessing step 3 is having all your own paperwork in order.
Yes. You need to have your medical documentation ready to go. A doctor's note, or even better, an updated form CA17, your duty status report.
Right.
That form specifically lists your treatment schedule. You're not just telling them you have an appointment, you're showing them it's part of an OWCP authorized recovery plan.
Now, there's another really powerful tool people sometimes forget about.
FMLA. That's step 5. Leverage the Family and Medical Leave Act.
How does that help?
If you're eligible, you get your injury and your appointment certified as intermittent FMLA leave. Once it's FMLA protected, management legally cannot deny that time off or discipline you for it. It changes the entire conversation.
Okay, what if the local manager still won't budge? Where do you go from there?
You escalate. Step 6 is to call the USPS Injury Compensation Office. Let your specialists there know what's happening. They can, and often will, call local management and remind them of the rule.
And of being forced to work is actually making things unsafe for you.
Then you file a PS Form 1767, that's a report of hazard.
Okay.
If they're making you lift heavy packages against your bag restriction, you are documenting that they are creating an unsafe condition. And finally, step 8.
Yes.
Tell your OWCP claims examiner and your doctor what's going on. Your doctor can send a letter directly to your supervisor stating that missing treatment is medically harmful. That carries a lot of weight.
So at the end of the day, it sounds like the advice is to go to your appointment, prioritize your health, and fight any discipline that comes later with all that documentation.
That's often the wisest path. It's
Yeah.
very hard to uphold discipline against an employee for attending authorized medical care.
We've hit the major crisis points. Let's finish up with a few more pro tips for just navigating peak season while you're injured. You mentioned the CA-17 form.
The CA-17 is your shield. Seriously. Keep it updated after every doctor's visit. Give management a new copy every single time. It lists your restrictions, your treatment schedule. They are legally obligated to follow it.
And let's quickly clarify the difference between the two types of duty status.
Right. If your injury is an accepted OWCP case, you are entitled to limited duty. That means the Postal Service has to make a real effort to find you work within your restrictions.
And the other one.
If you got hurt, say, skiing on the weekend, that's light duty. And light duty is given out completely at management's discretion. Limited duty is a right. Light duty is a privilege. It's a huge difference.
Okay, now, with all the pressure and the lost overtime, it's tempting to just skip a session. What's the risk there?
It's a double risk. Physically, you're delaying your own recovery. You risk a relapse or an even worse injury down the line.
And administratively?
Administratively, if OWCP sees you're not complying with your prescribed treatment, they can actually reduce or even suspend your wage loss payments.
So you're only hurting yourself.
You're only hurting yourself in the long run.
We should also touch on the mental health side of this. Being in pain, working crazy hours, it's a lot.
It's mentally crushing. Please, use the Employee Assistance Program, the EAP. It's confidential, it's available 24/7, and it's there to help you manage that stress.
And the final reminder, I think, is the most important one.
Safety first. Always. No package, no deadline is worth your long-term health. Use that 1767 form, speak up, refuse work that's clearly unsafe.
So the big takeaway here is really clear. Getting medical care for your work injury isn't a favor, it's your legal right. A healthy employee is a much better asset to the Postal Service than one who's been pushed past their breaking point.
And, speaking of getting the right care, it's so important to find doctors who understand this world. It's not just about the treatment. It's about navigating all the paperwork.
The administrative battle.
Exactly. You need specialists who know how to handle DOL and OWCP claims, who know what a CA-17 is and how to fill it out correctly.
That dual expertise is just,
right.
It's invaluable.
We've seen practices that focus specifically on this, like Restore Muscle and Joint. They're set up to provide the orthopedic or PT care, but also to handle all the documentation that federal workers need.
So they have doctors who get it.
Yes. Their teams include physicians like Dr. Chris Main, an orthopedic surgeon who really specializes in managing these complex OWCP cases. They help patients through the entire process. So my advice is to look for providers who have that specific focus.
Okay, so here's our final thought for you to chew on as you head into the busiest time of year.
We know that ignoring injuries leads to higher turnover, more accidents, and huge costs in retraining. So the question is, how can an organization like the Postal Service actually measure the true long-term financial costs of the short-term pressure they put on their people every December?
Something to think about.
Stay safe out there, take care of your health, and know your rights.
We'll see you on the next Deep Dive.